The unfair cases and horror stories that attach themselves to the deceased will not only leave you puzzled, but grasping for more details as the unfortunate stories unravel of the dearly departed. In today's story, a mother and daughter facing so much disapproval from the townspeople, feeling forced to distance themselves and stay away, are slowly consumed by a darkness only told out of a scary story. Now, if you're new here, my name is Jet and I run this freak show. And if you're new to my content, brace yourselves because it's about to get crazy. So sit back, relax, and settle in because it's story time. Welcome to the morgue. This is Maribeth, whose curiosity got the best of her, causing her untimely demise. You see, long ago lived a little old lady and her daughter Isabella. Although Maribeth was instructed to stay away from the home, she just couldn't help herself. Isabella was different from most children. In fact, doctors didn't think she would make it out of the womb, but miraculously she did. But unfortunately for Isabella, she didn't quite form correctly. Her right hand and arm were smaller than the other, and one of her eyes couldn't open and was noticeably lower than the other. Although Isabella was a kind-hearted child, she was severely bullied and made fun of for her appearance. Day after day, Isabella would come home from school crying, weeping to her mother about the awful things that the other kids would say and do to her. Bullying her day after day, Isabella decided to no longer attend school. In fact, Isabella hardly ever left her bedroom. Isabella's mother, Mary, also struggled with sustaining cordial relationships with the people in town. Mary wore long dark dresses with big flowy sleeves. Her hair was long, black, and wavy and had begun to gray at the root. She had pointed boots and a sharp smile that never seemed to leave her face. And although she was smiling, her eyes glared with disgust as she made her way through the town, giving her the nickname, the Witch. Although Mary and Isabella were kind-hearted people, things would take a horrifying turn as the weight of disapproval and loneliness would send Isabella into a severe depression. Mary tried everything to help Isabella: doctor visits, therapy appointments. She tried different activities and hobbies, but Isabella continued to sink deeper and deeper into the darkness. As time goes on, the townspeople grow more and more concerned for both Mary and Isabella, as they hadn't seen either one of them in quite some time. However, one day, Mary is spotted standing over a freshly dug grave, weeping quietly to herself. Standing alone in the cemetery, Mary glares over at the group of people watching her from a distance. She gathers her things and slips off into the night, never to be seen again. The headstone Mary stood over reads, "They didn't understand, if only they could see. The person that I wasn't the person that they seen." Etched at the bottom, the dates: March 24th, 1942 to August 13th, 1954. March 24th being Isabella's birthday. Now, although the death of Isabella was never confirmed, everyone suspected that she had passed away somehow, and Mary was so devastated that she had decided to leave, never to return. The house sat empty and quiet, slowly being forgotten. But this would all change as an unexplained darkness would slowly consume the town. A year after Mary's disappearance, people started reporting seeing her standing off in the distance or walking around the town late at night, dancing around the cemetery, disappearing into the fog. Although no one ever got close enough to confirm if it was actually Mary, solely based off the flowy gown and long dark hair, the town people believed it to be Mary, as she was the only one that ever had that appearance. Shortly after the sighting of this mystery woman, people started going missing one by one, just days apart, and within 2 weeks, 12 people had vanished without a trace. Authorities scramble and desperately try to understand and figure out what exactly was going on, as they sat there with no evidence and not even an idea on where to start. Reports start flowing in of lights being on in the abandoned house of Mary and Isabella. Some reports even describe hearing laughter and music coming from the home late at night. Authorities investigate the home multiple times and come up empty every single time. There was no running water, no working electricity. The walls were damp and molded. The floorboards creaked with every step. There were no candles or no signs of life living in the home. Everything in the house was frozen in time, undisturbed and untouched. Convinced that no one had been in the home for quite some time, authorities decided to board up all the windows and doors, ensuring that no one would get inside. One night, authorities received multiple calls that there are people in the abandoned house. The lights were on and they can hear music and laughter coming from the home. Authorities assure people that it's probably just some kids messing around and that they would check on it in the morning. However, Maribeth, who just lived 4 houses down, decided that she wanted to take a closer look for herself. Maribeth crouches into the bushes, slowly creeping forward towards the abandoned home. As she gets closer and closer, she sees the windows and doors were no longer boarded up, and the outside of the house no longer looked abandoned. Peeking into the window, there was bright floral wallpaper covering the once damp and molded walls. There was crisp white carpeting, so perfect it looked untouched. The furniture and decor arranged perfectly as if copied and pasted straight out of a magazine. Maribeth can smell dinner in the oven. As she peeked over, she could see a small glimpse of the dining room. Shadows of multiple people engaging in conversation. She hears laughter and music. As she leans forward to get a better look, she feels 2 hands slowly creeping over her shoulders, yanking her off the floor. Maribeth is dragged to the back of the house where they enter through a back door. She's thrown on the floor and scolded not to move. As the person walks out of the room, Maribeth freezes in fear and doesn't move. The person comes back and injects Maribeth in her right arm. Throwing the syringe on the floor, dirty and rusted, Maribeth starts to lose feeling in her fingers and toes. And as the numbness rises throughout her body, she becomes completely paralyzed, lying limp on the floor. She then hears footsteps of a woman approaching, louder and louder. As the woman gets closer, the entire house goes dark and silent. The door creeps open slowly. To her surprise, it's Mary, now standing in the doorway. Unable to move or speak, Maribeth stares blankly at Mary. Crouching over, Mary begins to speak. "You poor thing, you should have never come here." Just then, the person who snatched Maribeth from outside begins to drag her into the next room by her ankles. Pulling her off the floor and lying her on an old, dusty couch, looking around the room, the wallpaper was gone. The white carpet was no more. As the mystery person throws logs into a fireplace, poking around, he pulls out a long metal rod. Now here's where things get a little disturbing. The man then takes the metal rod and begins to burn Maribeth's mouth, melting her lips together, forever sealing them shut. Mary then walks into the room and takes a small, dull knife as she begins to cut into Maribeth's face, slicing her ear to ear. Once satisfied, she pulls out a needle and thread and begins to sew the open wounds back together. Mary had cut a permanent smile into Maribeth's face. Propping Maribeth up facing an old broken mirror, Maribeth loses consciousness and collapses on the floor. Moments later, Maribeth begins to come to. As she begins to open her eyes, the brightness of the room is overwhelming. She hears music and laughter. As her vision begins to clear, she's met with horror. Tied to a chair, Maribeth is propped up at a dinner table. Looking around the room, she sees a total of 12 people that were either tied down to a chair or propped up, giving the illusion of guests at a party. Everyone had a smile cut and sewn into their face, and some had noticeably been there longer than others, as the decaying process had slowly begun. Mary takes a seat at the table next to Maribeth, setting a plate out in front of her. She glares over at a rocking chair in the corner of the room and says, "Oh, Isabella, don't be rude. Say hi to your guests." The person who had snatched Maribeth from outside then walks into the room, slowly turning the rocking chair towards Maribeth, revealing the corpse of Isabella, wrapped in a blanket, her hair hiding most of her face. Isabella was so far decayed that most of her skin had rotted away, and bone was revealed. The man then slowly pushes the rocking chair towards the dining table. He then pushes play on an old tape recorder of a recording of music and people engaging in conversation. Mary then begins to pull different strings that are lying in front of her, forcing the limbs of the deceased to move, giving the illusion that they're dancing. In this moment, Maribeth realizes that she's probably the only one in the room that was still alive. She sat still and quiet as Mary continued on with her night, eating maggot-infested food and dancing around the room as if she was attending an actual party. She engaged with the corpses as if they would ever respond back to her. Repeatedly hugging her deceased daughter, Isabella's corpse collapses, breaking into a bunch of tiny pieces. Mary stands still, staring down at her hands with the dust of her daughter all over her and the floor. She stares blankly for hours, and then finally, the sun begins to come up. Police pull up to the abandoned home, and just as they left it, all the windows and doors are boarded up. They walk around the house and notice that the back door is wide open. They slowly make their way through the home, where they find Maribeth, sitting alone, propped up at an old dinner table. They rush Maribeth to the hospital, where she was rushed into surgery to fix what was done to her face. Police arrive to the hospital to question Maribeth, and she tells them everything. How the abandoned house came alive and was no longer abandoned. She explained the floral wallpaper and the beautiful decor. She described each person she saw that had the smiles cut into their face. She told them about Mary and Isabella and the man that drugged Maribeth into the house. Police are speechless as they explained to Maribeth that she was the only person in the house, and there was no wallpaper or beautiful decor. She was never tied down to a chair, and the wounds on her face were determined to be self-inflicted. Although yes, there was still 12 people missing, none of them were located inside the house with Maribeth. The things she described, the tape recorder, the rocking chair, the mysterious man, they were never found. The bright lights she described were non-existent, as there was no working electricity in the home. Maribeth was released from the hospital just a few days later. She returns to the haunted house desperately searching for answers. A neighbor sees Maribeth approaching the home and dials 911. Police arrive to the scene shortly after, where they find Maribeth hunched over in the exact same dining room chair. Calling out to Maribeth, the police get no response. They reach out to her and she falls over, revealing her face had been mutilated once again. They rush her to the hospital, where she is pronounced deceased on scene. Further investigation reveals that Maribeth had large amount of bruising on both of her shoulders. The mutilation to her face was exactly the same as the first, only this time her tongue was removed. But detectives can't help but notice that there was no blood on Maribeth's hands. So if this was something she did to herself, why was her hands so clean? The passing of Maribeth hits the town hard, and they decide that the best thing to do is to demolish the abandoned house. And when they do, the remains of the 12 missing people begin to pour out of the walls, each one of them having the smile sewn into their face, just as Maribeth said. They find the old tape recorder and play the tape inside. They can hear music and laughter along with Mary engaging in conversation, never receiving a response from anyone. It was later discovered that the 12 missing people now deceased were all Isabella's classmates her last year of school. To this day, people still report hearing music and laughter coming from the empty plot of land, and no one has ever been able to give a clear answer on what may have actually happened to Maribeth. So did Maribeth go crazy? Or did she actually come face to face with the witch? I guess we'll never know. Okay, so let's unpack because there's a lot of information here. We have Mary and we have Isabella. Mary is the mom, Isabella is the daughter. And then we got random ass Maribeth who came out of fucking nowhere and should have minded her business, right? So Mary is pregnant, right? Mary's pregnant and the doctors are like, this pregnancy is not going well. It's not going well, you probably won't make it to the end of your pregnancy. But she does, right? She makes it to the end of her pregnancy, only Isabella comes out a little different, right? She comes out a little different. I think like her arm and her hand was like shorter than the other. And then one of her eyes was a little wonky, right? She just came out a little different. But they say that her personality, she was a sweetie. She was a sweetheart. She really didn't deserve what came later, but the years pass and Isabella is now attending school. Her classmates are bullying her and harassing her solely off of her appearance. Now, mind you, she was born this way, so it's not her fault that, she looks like this. And so her classmates are tormenting her and they're giving her a hard time. Now, Isabella's going home on multiple occasions crying to her mom, Mary, that this is going on. So it gets so bad that Isabella decides, you know what? I don't want to go to school anymore. I'm going to stay home. Like, it's too much for me. I'm going to stay home. And see, that part of the story on its own makes me like conflicted because I'm like, they fucked around and they found out. They fucked around and they found out. Because it's just like, should you murder? No, right? We should not murder. No. So that's where I kind of get like a little bit like, oh, because it's like they were fucking with her so severely that she decided she didn't want to go to school anymore. It got that bad. And then now Mary is running around trying to get her help, right? A therapist, counseling, activities, like getting her out of the house, she's done. Like, Isabella is so far gone at this point, she just wants to be a hermit crab. And then it's also not easy for Mary, the mom, to try to figure these things out because solely based off her appearance, this town is fucked up and needs some shit going on over there because solely based off of Mary's appearance, they also single her out because she's giving witchy vibes. She has the hair, she has the clothes, she's just giving witchy vibes. So they automatically are like, she's a witch. calm the fuck down and grow the fuck up, town. Mary's having a hard time. Isabella's having a hard time. Everybody's having a hard time, to the point where they kind of both segregate themselves at home, right? They're both just home. Now the town wants to act like, oh, we kind of care a little bit and we're worried about them. We haven't seen them in a while. That's called a guilty conscience, if you ask me. That's what I'm thinking, because all of a sudden you guys give a fuck. You didn't give a fuck when they bullied her out of school, and you didn't give a fuck when Mary is scouring the town trying to find help for her daughter. Oh, but now that they're both just gone, I wonder if they're okay. Fake as fuck, that's what I think. One day, Mary is spotted out and about, only she's not out and about. She's at a cemetery, and she's standing over a freshly dug grave, minding her motherfucking business, by the way, and the townspeople are just staring at her. Like, I mean, I guess you wouldn't just walk up and be like, hey Mary, how's everything going? With the circumstances, right? She's standing over a grave. But like, don't just stare at her. Don't just stare at her. That's weird. You're being weird. So Mary's just like standing over this grave, just like having her moment, and then she realizes she's being watched. So she looks over, and at that point I feel like she cursed them, because, well, you heard the story. She's like, and then she just like gathers herself and just walks off. Mind you, she walks off into the abyss, bitch. She walks off into the night, and she never comes back. Nobody ever sees Mary again. They go up to the gravestone, and then it just like has this little poem, this like, you guys super misunderstood me ass poem, and then the birth dates just so happened to be Isabella's birthday. Now her death wasn't confirmed and nobody knows what happened. I think she offed herself because everybody was being mean to her, but let's calm down. They look at the stone and it's Isabella's birthday, so they're just assuming, oh my god, something must have happened to Isabella. Isabella passed away, and now Mary is so devastated, she just took off without saying anything. She's just like, fuck this town, rightfully so. So she leaves, right? Mary's gone, and the town is like, fuck, that's Isabella. Isabella died. So life continues, right? Life continues, and a year later, people are starting to report seeing this ghostly figure in the night, in the distance, in the fog, right? This creepy lady dancing around the cemeteries, fucking around in the midnight of Townsville, just in the abyss of darkness at night, fucking around. So people are reporting seeing this ghostly figure, and everyone's like, oh, that's Mary. Like, it has to be Mary fucking with us. But then it's just like, nobody gets close enough to confirm if it's Mary or not. They're just like saying it's Mary because it's like a creepy lady, which is, and this is why shit popped off, because look at how you guys are acting. So they're like, I think that's Mary, but nobody gets close enough to see if it's Mary, right? Mind you, as these reports of a creepy lady chilling in the night, as these are happening, also people are going missing. So like a person is going missing every like couple of days. It's just like one after the other, after the other, after the other. And then finally it's like 12 or 13 people are just gone without a trace. And authorities are like, what the fuck is going on? We have this fucking crackhead running around the cemetery at night, and now a whole bunch of people are missing. They don't know what the fuck is going on. So mind you, as all of that is happening, people are now starting to report that Mary and Isabella's house, which is abandoned, is coming to life, right? Like, they're reporting that there's lights and there's music and there's laughter, and then when the cops go to the house, it's completely silent and empty and abandoned. I mean, it's been sitting there for a fucking year. And so the cops are like so fed up with it that they board up the house. They're like, this is clearly abandoned. They board it all up, right? Fuck this house. And then they go about looking for the missing people. Well, the reports are still coming in, and still the cops are like, it's just aliens or kids fucking around, and they're like, it's abandoned. And everyone's just like, I don't know. One night, the house is jumping. The house is lively. And a neighbor, Mary Beth, 911? I need to speak to somebody. This is 911. Hi, the house is, there's a party at the house. The house is getting crazy. No, it's not. It's just some kids. Leave it alone. Just go back to bed, Maribeth. Fine. But does she leave it alone? No, she doesn't. Curiosity gets the best of her. And what does she do? Army crawls that shit. She army crawls that shit, and she goes right up to the house. She gets close enough that she can smell food. Okay? Mind you, it's supposed to be abandoned. It's supposed to be empty, rotted, molded. She gets closer, she smells food coming from the house. As she gets closer, she hears the music. She hears people. She gets so close that she's in the window. Okay, she's in the window. And she sees like beautiful decor. She sees nice carpets that have been untouched. She hears people in the next room, dining room area, laughing. She can hear the fork and the knife against the plate. Like there's people in this motherfucking house. There's people here. And so as she's like trying to get higher and higher and higher, somebody snatches her ass up. Somebody snatches her up. Rightfully so, mind your fucking business. Snatches her up, drags her to the back of the house, through a back door, drags her into the house. Now when she gets into the house, surprise, surprise, it's abandoned. The inside is not nice anymore. It's as though she's in like this time lapse of some sort and everything's just fucked. Well, the man throws her on the floor and he's like, don't fucking move. She's like, got it. Because me, I would have ran. I would have been gone. I would have crawled right back out of that motherfucking house. Because he comes back and like injects her or does something to her that paralyzes her. That means she was alone in the room. And you're stupid because you should have left. So anyway, she's like paralyzed. Something's going on with her, right? And then she hears somebody walking into the room. It's a lady. It's like lady feet. Like, it's a lady. She walks into the room and holy fuck. She looks up. And who is it? Mary. Mary's looking down at Maribeth. And she kind of looks a little sad. She's a little devastated. And she tells Maribeth, you shouldn't have come here. You shouldn't have fucking went. You shouldn't have went to the creepy house that wakes up every so often. You shouldn't have went. There's a crazy lady dancing around in the cemeteries. People are going missing. This house that's supposed to be abandoned keeps coming to life. And you go to the house? That makes no sense. So Mary's standing over here and she's like, sorry, toots. You shouldn't have came here. So then she like leaves or whatever. The man snatches up Maribeth and drags her into the next room. Now she throws her onto a couch. Now Maribeth is looking around and she's like, what the fuck is going on? I looked through the window. The carpets were nice. The decor was nice. The wallpaper was nice. And now everything is abandoned. Everything is fucked. So she's tripping. Mind you, there's psychos everywhere. Like Mary's acting like a weirdo. And this man, who's this fucking man? So he throws her on the couch and he's fucking around in the fire. He's doing some shit in the fire. He pulls out like a metal something, like a metal rod or a metal spatula or a metal something. And he goes up to Maribeth and he pushes it up against her face, causing her skin to melt and fuse her lips together. All of this fucked. He like melts it together and just seals it all shut. Here comes Mary's fuck ass. She comes in and she's just like, you'll be okay. And then she gets like this little knife and she slices her shit ear to ear. And here's where I have a problem. Because if you were gonna slice her shit, why did you do the burning? You could have sliced her from ear to ear without having to melt her face. But I mean, fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to do all the first part. You could have just done the second part and it would have been probably smoother because there's an opening here. But Mary comes with this little knife and slices her shit, reopens her shit, but she cuts it into a smile, okay? She cuts it into a smile, like a permanent smile, and then she sews her back together. You see where I have a problem? Open mouth, melts it closed, slices it open, sews it closed. Make up your motherfucking mind. Do you want it open or closed? So then after all of this is done, she props Maribeth up in front of a mirror and then she's just like, do you like it? And Maribeth is like, no, I don't like it. But so then she passes out. She passes out from probably blood loss, shock, pain, all of the things. She's scared to death. This lady just sliced her, melted her, cut her, sewed her. Probably no numbing cream at all. Now during this time that she's completely passed out, they take her and they put her into the dining room and they tie her down to a chair and they place her at the dining table. Now when she wakes up, her eyes are foggy, she's hearing things, she's like coming to, she's just like, where am I? You know, the lights are bright, so she's trying to adjust. But as she's trying to adjust, she says that she can hear music and laughter and talking. She's looking around and she sees people. Remember, her eyes are still a little foggy. She's blinking away, trying to like adjust. So she sees people and she's thinking like, oh, there's people here. Well, when her vision is like all the way okay again, she realizes that the people standing around her and in front of her are not alive. However, they're propped up. They're in positions as if people are conversating or people are sitting to eat a meal. They're not just hunched over. They're pinned and placed specifically to resemble a party. Now, as she's realizing that she's probably the only person who's still alive in this room, she just kind of sits and just be quiet. Mary comes and drags a chair and sits right next to her. Now when she sits next to her, she lays down some silverware, she lays down some, plates. We're about to have a fucking dinner, obviously. And then she notices there's strings just aligned in front of Mary. The man comes walking back in, and Mary is like, hey, put the sound on. And this man with like a boombox or something plays a tape. Now on the tape, it's playing music and laughter and people talking and conversating. This is all playing on this tape. As this tape begins to play, Mary begins to pull the strings that are lying down in front of her. And as she pulls the strings, Maribeth is looking around, noticing that the corpses all around the room start to move. She's looking around and everyone's moving. Probably robotic-y, but they're moving. Mary positioned these 12, 13 people around the room and tied strings to their bodies so that she can make their limbs move to reenact some sort of dinner party. Now, mind you, as all of this is happening, I'm sure Maribeth is flipping the fuck out. She notices there's a rocking chair in the corner of the room. And in this moment, Mary calls out to Isabella, who's in the rocking chair. Oh, Isabella, don't be rude. Say hi to your guests. What the fuck is going on? Then the man goes over to the rocking chair and positions her, like turns her towards Maribeth. And Isabella is sitting in that chair, only she's so far decayed that her bones and her skin are all fucked up and she's just like unrecognizable, but it's Isabella. And so the tape is playing, the music is on. Mary's pulling the strings to the corpses, making them move like they're puppets. They're simulating some sort of dinner party, right? Mary's up talking to the corpses. She's dancing around. She's having a good time. She approaches Isabella multiple times, hugging her, talking to her. They're having a fucking party. And Maribeth just sits quietly. So hours go by, and Mary goes up to Isabella and goes to hug her, right? Gives her a bear hug. And as she's like bear hugging her, Isabella collapses. Her body is so far decayed that there's, you have to be a little careful, I'm thinking. And so she hugged her and she just falls apart. Now this puts Mary into some sort of fucking trance because she just stands there and is just looking at the dust and the rubble all over her hands and like on her floor and her body, right? So she's just standing there. Hours go by and she's just stuck like that. Then finally, the sun comes up. Now when the sun comes up, police come to the house, right? They got all the reports from that night. So they're like, okay, let's just check it out. So then they go, and when they get there, it's abandoned. Everything's abandoned. Like the house is still boarded up. Everything's fine. It's completely the same. Only for some reason, they're like, let's just do a round and check the back. So then they go around back and they see that the door is open, the back door. They go inside. Still, it's all abandoned. Everything is abandoned. And then they go to the dining room and they find Maribeth hunched over, right? She's hunched over, all by herself. No corpses, no boombox, no Mary, no creepy man, no nothing. It's just her hunched over at like this, nasty table of abandonment. So then they grab her and they're like, fuck. And they take her to the hospital, and then the hospital, immediately does surgery, and they do surgery on her to like reopen her mouth or like fix all of this. I'm sure she has an infection. And then like sometime later she wakes up and then the cops are like, what the fuck is your problem? And then so she's like, no. Somebody grabbed me and cut my face open, and it was Mary and this man, and Isabella was there, and I saw all these dead people, and I'm pretty sure that it's all the people who have gone missing. And she's like pouring her guts, right? She's like, no, you don't understand. Like all this stuff happened. And the cops dead ass look at her and they're like, girl, we were there. There's no dead people. There's no Mary. There's no creepy man. You're a liar. And she's like, I'm telling the truth. And they're like, no, you're a liar. And then they're like, the doctors confirmed that your wounds were self-inflicted. They're telling her that she did this to herself. Okay? Everything that she just went through, they're telling her that she did this to herself. Some time goes by, right? Some time goes by, and they release her from the hospital. Immediately she goes back to the house. Immediately she goes back to the house. Did you not have enough? Did you not get your shit rocked enough that you went back to the house? She goes back to the house. She goes back to the house. Only a nosy neighbor sees her, headed to the house. 911. She's back. The police are on their way. Only when they get there, they don't see her. Still abandoned. The house didn't wake back up. It's been abandoned this whole time, right? They get there. She's not there. So then they're like, let's go inside. They go inside and they find her in the exact same spot, in the exact same chair at the dining table. They lift her up. Guess what? Mutilated once again. And I don't know how insurance works with that, but if you go to the hospital and have to get something done and then a couple days later you do it again, insurance is not going to cover that probably. They grab her, they rush her to the hospital. Only when she gets to the hospital, they realize her tongue has now been cut out also. So that's new. She had her tongue last time. So they're like, what the fuck? And unfortunately, Maribeth dies. She doesn't make it this time, right? So now the town is like tore up about what happened to Maribeth. And they're just like, this is fucked up. Fuck that house. Let's destroy that house. So then the town decides, okay, let's demolish the house. That house is bad juju vibes. The house gotta go. Upon demolishing the house, as they're fucking up that house, what happens? Dead bodies start to fall out of the walls. All these little things that she described, they're finding. So they're finding corpses. They found the tape. They find all these little things that kind of piece together what Maribeth had said this whole time. She said that there was dead people there. They didn't believe her. Now they're falling out of the walls. She talked about the tape. They didn't believe her. Now they're finding it in the rubble of this house. So they take all the corpses and they send them to the morgue. And they're doing DNA testing to see who the fuck are these people, because they were pretty decayed at this point, right? They take all these things that they find from the house and they're like, fuck, everything that Maribeth said was true. All these things that she described were true. So now they go to the morgue and they're like, what's up with these dead people? Now, here's where things take a turn, why I'm so conflicted if I'm mad or okay with this situation, because the dead people, the corpses who she played puppets with, just so happened to be the 12 people who were in Isabella's class her last year of school. Now, if you remember, they bullied her. Remember, she went to school, her class bullied her, she told her mom, I don't want to go anymore. Now, these dead people that they found in the house, DNA tested, comes to find out, every single person was in Isabella's class her last year of school. Her last year of school. Her mom came back, kidnapped all these people from her class, murdered them, cut smiles into their face, propped them up into their house, and had a fucked up dinner party for Isabella. Let that sink in. They bullied her, and the mom came back and fucked them up. I mean, murder's not good, but bullying's not good either. You would agree. Now, does that make her a witch? No. Does it make her a murderer or psychopath? Yes, but that's something so different. They called her a witch. Now, after all of this information comes out, they of course, give the bodies back to the families. They have their services and whatever time goes on. Now, the house is gone. It's demolished. It's just an empty lot. But to this day, people are still reporting hearing music and laughter coming from the lot. So now you tell me, what do you think happened to Isabella? Did she off herself? Did she pass unexpectedly? Something to think about. Now, Mary was never seen again. So was she actually a witch who came back to avenge her daughter? Or was she simply a mother who came back to seek revenge for her child? In the end, there was no actual proof that Mary was responsible for any of the deaths or that she was even there in the first place. However, the scary story still lingers around town about how Mary took out an entire class to avenge her daughter. Thank you so much for tuning in to my YouTube channel, and until next Sunday, bye guys.